Hi everybody, this is now my second time trying to record this video for you guys because the first time my camera was just like, no, and just randomly stopped recording. Like, just randomly halfway through the video was just like, no, I'm not going to work for you anymore. So hopefully all will be alright for the second take. But anyways, for today's video, I am going to talk to you guys about my contraceptive implant that I got fitted about 4 months ago now. And if you're looking for like a true contraceptive implant horror story, this is not going to be that kind of video. I've actually had no issues whatsoever apart from one issue with the implant, which is expected and clearly stated anyways that, you know, could happen to you. My previous video that I did on the contraceptive implant will be linked in the description box down below for those of you who want to go and check it out. I talked about the application, well, rather the insertion process, shall I say, the application process. You're not applying for a job with the contraceptive implant, and things like that. So if you're interested with that, go check it out. The link will be down below. But I feel like in the last video I kind of left it off, like speaking about roughly the first month, I think it was, if I remember rightly. And so, like I said, I got it fitted in mid-September of 2018, so it is like still quite, I'm not going to say fresh because that's not the word, but it's quite young. My contraceptive implant is a little baby. That doesn't sound right either, does it? But you know what I'm saying, like I've not had it in long, because obviously they last for about 3 years. In terms of the actual area of my arm that had the implant fitted, which is this arm, it's about here somewhere. I only have like a little tiny scar left, and that scar is from where the implant literally went in when the nurse was putting it in. If you're bothered about that, then that's something that you might want to consider. More than likely you will be left with just a tiny little scar after you get the implant fitted. I mean, I'll show you guys now. Can you see that little dot there? That's the scar. That is that little tiny dot there. That's the scar, and that's where my implant is, because you guys will be able to see it if I push it like that. I think the majority of people, like I know actually someone who did have like a full-on proper horror story with their contraceptive implant, and that kind of put me on edge a little bit, and I do think that a lot of people get put off doing these kinds of things, like the implant, the contraceptive coil that you can get done, and all that sort of stuff, because they see so many horror stories like on YouTube and things like that. I would say don't put it off, because honestly getting the implant fitted has so far been one of the best things that I have ever done, really. For those of you who don't know, I was on the contraceptive pill for years, like a long time, and as I was getting older I was kind of just getting fed up of just keeping that schedule of like, okay, well, you take it for 3 weeks, you have the week off, and you don't take the pill, and that's when you'll have your period. Remember to take it at a certain time every day. And a lot of people will say, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But as I'm getting older, it's just more of a pain in the bum. The only positive thing that I got really out of the pill was the fact that my periods were regular. I knew that in that week where you don't take the contraceptive pill, like that is the week that I would come on my period. And speaking of periods, moving back onto the contraceptive implant, I think that it's very important to talk about when it comes to things like this, because it does affect your periods. So a common thing with the contraceptive implant is your periods may change. About a third of women actually don't see any difference with their periods once they get the implant fitted. A third of women get no periods at all whilst they have the implant in, and then the final third of women who get the implant, their periods are irregular and they can bleed heavier, they can bleed for longer, they can have lighter periods and bleed for a shorter amount of time. It can be like a mixture of both. So really, to me, this is the only downside that I've got so far with the implant. Everything else is spot on. It's like the best thing that I ever did. And if you do want to check it, like get the implant fitted, then I would say give it a go, because if it doesn't agree with you for whatever reason, you can just go and get it taken out. If you do want children before that 3 years is up that the implant lasts for, you can just go and get it taken out. Your fertility should return back to normal pretty much straight away. So that's another really good thing about the implant, whereas I think a lot of the time with the pill, when you stop taking the pill, it takes a little while. I think I read somewhere that it can take up to a year to get your fertility back to normal. Periods wise, for a little while I didn't bleed after getting the implant fitted, so the first, I think 2 or 3 months, I had no period at all. And I was like, maybe I'm going to be like lucky and not have any periods over the next 3 years. And then I remembered that I have insanely bad luck and my life just doesn't do those sorts of nice things for me. So I figured out a couple of months after I got it fitted that I actually did start to bleed, but it was very, very light, and I thought, I can deal with this, like, girl, you got this. But then the month after that, it was like, it started to get heavier. Yes. And period pains started to come back and things like that. So that's where I'm at really at the moment. The past couple of months I have bled, and I have bled a little bit longer than what I would normally, and I'm a little bit heavier than what I would be normally. But again, you know, it's the risk that you take with getting the implant. Sometimes, you know, your periods stop, sometimes they're irregular, and sometimes there's no change. But the thing is that the first 6 months are what a lot of nurses call like your body's still trying to get used to the implant in that first like 3 to 6 months. And so things like that can happen until everything kind of settles down a little bit. So the 6 months for me is almost up. I've got like a couple of months left, and fingers crossed I'm not going to fall into the category that I'm currently in, which is just irregular periods, and there's no routine anymore, which obviously, like I said, you know, you're used to it with the pill because you know in that week that you don't take it, then you're going to come on your period. All of that routine, I've waved it goodbye, it's gone out the window, and my periods just kind of do whatever the hell they want, to be quite honest with you guys. So that's kind of where I'm at period wise at the moment, but other than that I wouldn't say that there's any other negatives. Half the time I forget I even have the implant fitted because, you know, it's nothing that I can feel all the time in my arm or anything like that. Just make sure that you are checking your implant. I check mine every day, just to make sure it is in the correct position and things like that. But apart from that, everything's been fine. I do not regret having it done. I would encourage those of you who are thinking about it to try it, but obviously bear in mind this is just my experience, we're all different. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a thumbs up. If you're new here, click on that subscribe button. The link to my other contraceptive implant video will be in the description box down below, so go and check it out. Thanks a lot for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in my next video.